We all know what crouching is, I don't need to explain that here, but for some reason we excessively do it, even though it's inherently bad, especially in a game like Valorant. Regardless of the elo you're in, whether you're in the depths of iron or jousting away at top 500 Radiant, you'll come across players excessively crouching. And what I mean by this is, the moment they see an enemy, they instantly hit the crouch button and start spraying away. I myself have been doing this for ages, and it was only recently that I took a conscious effort to alleviate this bad habit that I noticed a lot of success. Let me use CSGO as a comparison. In that game, there's a set spray pattern, which means when you do end up crouch spraying, at least you can control the spray pattern and somewhat reliably hit those shots. However, Valorant's gun mechanic is a little quirky. For whatever reason, the game doesn't have a set spray pattern for any of the guns, so relying on spraying is A, inconsistent, and B, a huge liability. It had me thinking, if the sprays are random, then why would players want to crouch and rely on RNG spray to kill the enemy? This ties in with the sentiment that a lot of players feel they're super inconsistent at Valorant. Instinctively, players tend to crouch when the spray becomes wild. This usually happens after the first 5 to 10 shots, so it's understandable to crouch during this awkward phase. Even though I've somewhat been shitting on crouching, I do need to state that there are certain moments where crouching is effective. The reason why you'd crouch in the first place is the first 5 to 10 shots are vertical, and by crouching you're physically lowering the position of your crosshair, which is easier than doing it manually with the mouse. However, this makes you more of a sitting duck as you're a stationary target in one place, meaning if the enemy decided to be more patient with their shots, they'll have an easier time killing you. The problem with crouching becomes apparent where players crouch regardless of the distance. It's acceptable to crouch when you're in short range gunfights. However, crouching at long ranges is very disadvantageous as you're essentially relying on RNG spray to hit a more condensed target who could potentially be counter-strafing, making it even harder. Let me show you examples of when you might want to crouch and when you don't want to do it. If you're holding long C, you should never crouch, especially if you're looking to take fights. You're better off counter-strafing as it's extremely difficult to control a spray from that distance. Another position where crouching is detrimental is if you're anchoring on B at the start of the round and holding window. You don't want to expose yourself by sitting in the open crouched. If you're going to hold window, your best case is by moving over to this position, so it's much harder for the enemy to kill you as they don't expect you to be crouched, but it's also very easy for you to get to cover. If you're stuck in a one and done position like this, crouching is very effective as the enemy will have to readjust their crosshair position, giving you a small advantage. On the other hand, if you do fall into the lower elo brackets, this isn't advised as the enemy will most likely have their crosshair at your crouch level. There are certain elos where crouching is effective. For example, those who are in diamond and above tend to have crosshairs at head level, meaning crouching will put off their aim as they'll need to readjust their crosshair mid-fight, giving you that split second advantage. On the other hand, in the lower elos, players tend to not have a consistent head level crosshair placement, meaning by you crouching, you're directly going into their crosshair, making it much easier for them to kill you. The way to counter this is by simply not crouching, and it's easier said than done, but by standing in gunfights they'll need to readjust their aim, and typically they'll do this by spraying upwards to your head, relying on an RNG spray, and pair this up with some counter strays and you'll make their life a living hell. Now that I've explained why crouch sprays are bad, you're probably wondering, how can I unlearn this bad habit? One of the first things I personally did was unbind the crouch button in the keybind settings, and at first it felt extremely weird and naturally I'd hit the crouch button, which completely put off my sprays as I ended up moving and shooting. But have no fear, this subsided after a few hours of practicing. Although unbinding the crouch button was effective at the beginning, it wasn't enough as I defaulted to crouching in tense situations, which completely put off this whole practice I was doing, which is why I took the extra steps in creating an aim routine that was centered around spraying while standing and repositioning. After a full week of daily practice using my improved aim routine, I was noticing in my saved clips that I didn't crouch nowhere near as much, and as a result my gunfights felt a lot more in control and I didn't have random days where I'd perform poorly and my aim went out the window. Thanks for watching this video. Check out my Twitch, I'm going to be streaming very soon. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and I'm out. Peace.
Hello guys, today I'm going to show you how to kill someone in the first 12 seconds with Viper on bind, and this is called the Smokebite. So you go in this corner, you take your smoke and you have to aim on this leaf and jump and left click. Then you take your snakebite and you go up this leaf on this line and you throw your snakebite. So you do this, all the stuff at the same time, and you press your smoke to be activated as soon as possible, and the snakebite lands at the same time. The one guy who's standing in lamp gonna die in 1 second or so. Just watch it guys, this is called a Smokebite and this is really OP.
I'm dying.
Reloading. Get out of my way! Orb emitting. Goodbye.
Nice.
No fucking way!
I can hear you. Oh, whatever.
turret out. We go. Placing sentry.
One close. One close.
Toxins going up. Poison orb emitting.
Nice. Push, 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 push.
Going up. The spike. Toxin screen down.
That's too OP. That's too OP. That's just fucking too OP.
Match found.
Revelando la zona. Revelando zona. Analizando entorno.